When I realized I was the villainous male supporting character in a book, I had already been married to the female lead for 2 years. According to the story's timeline, I had 6 months left before I had to step aside, 6 months of me digging my own grave while pushing the male and female leads' romance forward. That morning, I woke up and, as usual, prepared my dear wife her favorite sandwich and hand-ground coffee. I handed her bag and keys, then saw her out the door, standing at the entrance, watching the car fade into the distance. A sudden flash of insight struck me. Everything I had forgotten came rushing back all at once. In that moment, it was like a lightning bolt of clarity. I had entered a state of sudden enlightenment. Here's how it happened. 25 years ago, I had been reborn into this world with my past life's memories intact, born straight into this book's universe. At first, I didn't know I was inside a story. Not until a man, grinning so wide his eyes nearly disappeared, said, "Baby, you've got a name now. It's Ji Buchang. Ji from Ji Taimei, Chong from Chongqing. What do you think?" Ji Taimei was the man in front of me, my dad. As for Chongqing, no need to guess, that was my mom. Ji Buchang. How should I put it? A bit crude. Even though the name sounded vaguely familiar, I didn't dwell on it. After all, names this unimaginative had way too high a chance of being duplicates. That was until 3 years later, when the neighbor, Old Willow, had a baby girl. That little girl was as delicate as carved jade, utterly adorable. My dad piped up, "Look at this little one, she's a perfect match for our Ji Buchang. Old Willow, what do you say? Let's make them in-laws." I didn't catch Old Willow's reply. My mind was stuck on the name Little Swallow and the surname Lu. Lu Yen, Lu Ruyan. In an instant, I finally understood why the name Ji Buchang felt so familiar. Wasn't it from a book I had just read before my rebirth? A sweet, pampered female empowerment romance that made my stomach churn. In that genre, the standard formula was one strong woman and one sweet, doting love. In that book, the strong woman was Lu Ruyan, an aloof, unsmiling, domineering CEO. As for the sweet, doting love, that was Yitingcheng, a cheerful, sunny intern with a bright future, fresh into the workplace. He faced countless setbacks and blows, yet still brimmed with passion and hope for life. His persistence and tenacity caught the CEO's eye. She not only overlooked his mistakes but also gave him plenty of help. Slowly, the big boss's initial curiosity toward the intern deepened into genuine affection, and they embarked on a romantic love story. But for a beautiful love to last and remain resilient, it needed a few clueless sycophants to pave the way. Ji Buchang was that clueless sycophant. Ji Buchang and Lu Ruyan grew up together as childhood sweethearts. They had been betrothed since they were kids, and as soon as they reached legal age, they got married and registered. Ji Buchang loved Lu Ruyan deeply, but for Lu Ruyan, her feelings for him were more familial than romantic. Or rather, before Yitingcheng came along, Lu Ruyan didn't even know what love was. Her career, her love life, it all seemed preordained. She just had to follow the script. But Yitingcheng's arrival was like a ray of sunlight, shattering the stagnant stillness and igniting a passion Lu Ruyan had never known. Still, they were innocent. Despite the bubbles of love between them, they never crossed the moral boundary. To push the plot forward, it was time for Ji Buchang to make his move. As her husband, he quickly noticed his wife's strangeness. Bit by bit, he pieced things together and found Yitingcheng. Then came all kinds of suppression and bullying. But his actions didn't harm Yitingcheng at all. Instead, they helped Lu Ruyan see her true feelings for the intern. After one scheme after another, Lu Ruyan grew more and more disgusted with Ji Buchang, even filing for divorce. Ji Buchang refused to agree. He went so far as to have Yitingcheng kidnapped, intending to destroy him. That finally pushed Lu Ruyan over the edge. With ruthless efficiency, she dismantled the Ji family and secretly had Ji Buchang killed. Just like that, Ji Buchang died silently and unnoticed, while Lu Ruyan and Yitingcheng lived happily ever after. Later, they even had twins. Happy ending, my ass. When I realized I was inside a book, my only thought was, cherish life. Stay away from Lu Ruyan. And for the first 3 years of her life, that's exactly what I did. Before she turned 3, I made sure to keep my distance, avoid her, dodge her, and if she got close, flee. I was determined to become the most familiar stranger to Lu Ruyan. But fate had other plans. It was working, too. Even both sets of parents thought we were incompatible. Yet heaven insisted on thwarting me. When Lu Rian was 3 and I was 6, I took a fall. And just like that, everything about being inside a book vanished from my mind. My eyes and heart were filled with nothing but Lu Rian's irresistibly beautiful face. For the next 22 years, I became her brainless fan. I protected her, doted on her, never let her suffer the slightest harm, and she accepted it all without ever refusing. So, without a doubt, we walked into the hall of marriage, no, the tomb. Standing outside the villa, I pinched my thigh hard enough to make tears and snot stream down my face. Damn it, every single time it messes me up. I walked into the villa's living room. On the dining table sat the delicate sandwich and the steaming hand-ground coffee, untouched. From 4 days ago, Lu Rian suddenly stopped eating the breakfast I made for him. His reason was that it was too early, and I didn't think much of it. Still waking up early every day to cook for him. I always thought, maybe he'll be hungry today. What if he's hungry and has nothing to eat? But now, as memories resurface, I finally understand the reason. It's not that he wasn't hungry, it's that he was saving his appetite to go to the company and eat the breakfast Yitingcheng brought for him. Yitingcheng said drinking coffee in the morning wasn't good. Yitingcheng said sandwiches lacked the warmth of home-cooked food. Yitingcheng said, I love soybean milk and fried dough sticks the most. And the millet porridge I make myself. President Lu, please have a taste. I took a deep breath. Feeling like an absolute fool. What do I do now? Sitting at the dining table, eating the sandwich I made myself. It tasted like chewing wax. Being a simp isn't scary, what's terrifying is being a simp in a female-dominated novel. After all, being a simp is one thing, but always acting so awkward, pitiful, and pretentious, how could I, a grown man, stand it? Damn heavens, you don't do anything right. If I had always remembered being transmigrated into this book, I wouldn't have thrown myself at Lu Rian, knowing full well he'd fall for someone else in the future and still get tangled up with him. Isn't that just begging to be humiliated? If I had just transmigrated into this book at this very moment, I would immediately file for divorce, cutting ties with Lu Rian and all that messy business. But 22 years, I've simped for Lu Rian for 22 years. Even if I'd been polishing a leather shoe, I'd have developed feelings by now. And now you're telling me he doesn't love me and has a true love? What do you want from me? Are you trying to kill me? The housekeeper at home opened the door and came in. Seeing me, she asked, Sir, what would you like for lunch today? I'll go buy groceries. Suddenly struck by an idea, I stood up abruptly. Zhang Ma, make some dishes Madam likes. I'll go to his company at noon. Alright, you get ready, and I'll head out. Okay. I drove away from the villa and went straight to the hospital. Lu Rian's period this month was a week late. I hadn't thought much of it at first, since his cycle has always been irregular. But as memories resurfaced, a thought struck me. In the original story, Lu Rian once had a child, though Ji Buchang never knew. One time, Ji Buchang went to the company to find Lu Rian and pushed open the door to see him tying Yitingcheng's tie. There was nothing between them. Yitingcheng was wearing a suit for the first time and didn't know how to handle it. And Lu Rian, who often helped me with my tie, was skilled at it, so he just lent a hand. But Ji Buchang didn't know that. He charged forward like a madman, raising his hand to strike Yitingcheng. Lu Rian shielded Yitingcheng and was shoved away by Ji Buchang. That single push caused Lu Rian to lose the child. Ji Buchang was overcome with pain, feeling he had harmed Lu Rian, and subsequently took his own life. He didn't know that Lu Rian never wanted the child in the first place. I drove toward the hospital. Lu Rian and I had been married for 2 years, but we always took precautions. We never pushed the matter of having children. I didn't know what Lu Rian thought, but for me, I just wanted to enjoy a few more years of our time together, just the two of us. Soon, the hospital arrived. Numbly, I went straight to the obstetrics and gynecology department. Unsurprisingly, I saw Lu Rian. I watched him take a number, see the doctor, pay, undergo tests, and wait for results. The whole process took 2 hours. During those 2 hours, my mind was blank. I couldn't think about anything, couldn't bring myself to think. I watched Lu Rian walk out of the consultation room, holding the test results. He was silent for a long time, then tore the paper into pieces and threw it into the trash can. He left. The cigarette between my fingers fell to the ground. It wasn't until I reached the hospital entrance that I snapped out of my daze. Staring at the bustling crowd outside, I took a deep breath and drove back. 22 years of feelings. 2 years of marriage. And the child in his belly. I didn't want a single plotline from a book to sentence my life to death. Lu Ruyan, don't let me down. When I got home, Zhangma had already finished cooking. She packed the food into containers, smiling as she said, "Couples as loving as you and Madam are rare these days. It makes me envious just watching." In the past, I would have beamed with joy, but at this moment, I couldn't even muster the strength to twitch the corners of my mouth. The villa was a half-hour drive from Lu Ruyan's company. By the time I reached his office building, it was exactly noon. The front desk recognized me, so I didn't need to announce myself. I took the private elevator straight up, sailing through without any obstacles to the 32nd floor. The first person to see me was Lu Ruyan's assistant. The moment he spotted me, his face stiffened, and a flicker of panic flashed in his eyes before he quickly regained composure. "Sir, why are you here?" I let out a light laugh. "Where's Lu Ruyan?" The assistant said. "The president is in the office. I'll go inform him." I grabbed his arm. "No need. I'll go myself." I didn't visit Lu Ruyan's company often, but I knew the way. Reaching the president's office, I pushed the door open without hesitation. The office had excellent lighting. At noon, the dazzling sunlight streamed through the clean, transparent glass, filling the room with brightness and warmth. Against the light, I saw a man and a woman sitting at the desk. In front of them was a cute cat-shaped lunchbox. They sat close together, eating the contents with relish. The young man seemed to be saying something, a smile on his face. The woman looked up, listening intently. Maybe it was the sunlight, but at that moment, she seemed exceptionally gentle, a tenderness I had never witnessed before. Afraid I was seeing things, I immediately pulled out my phone and snapped a picture of the scene. Click. I let out a soft, "Oops." I'd made a sound, interrupting this moment. Damn it. The two of them seemed utterly surprised by my arrival. Their expressions froze for a few seconds. Seeing that look on Lu Ruyan's face amused me. I couldn't help it. I let out a chuckle. Lu Ruyan frowned at me, his expression clearly displeased with my presence. Yi Tingqing's face went pale, and he shot up abruptly. His movement was too fast, knocking over the soup container beside him. The soup spilled onto his leg, scalding him and making him cry out in pain. Lu Ruyan quickly stood up, pulling him back. I turned and left. Forget it, we're all dignified people here. I didn't want to do anything undignified like in the original story. The assistant stood behind me, his face taut with tension. I shoved the lunchbox in my hand into his arms. "Here, you have it." The assistant's expression flickered into panic. I didn't linger. Instead, I made my way to the secretarial department. As I walked in, several secretaries rose to their feet. Clearly, they recognized me. That was fine. It saved me the trouble of explaining myself. "Who's Jiang Cheng?" I asked. A man stepped forward, trembling with deference. "Sir, that's me. Is there something you need?" My lips twitched. I almost wanted to kneel before him. Truly, when I'd read this book before, I hadn't thought much of it. But now, seeing it with my own eyes, I had to admit I was impressed. Without exaggeration, the man's attention to detail was so meticulous it extended down to the very strands of his hair. I steadied myself, pulled a business card from my bag, and handed it to him. "I'm very interested in what you're working on. Make sure to contact me." Jiang Cheng stood there, dumbfounded. By the time I walked out of the secretarial department, Lu Ruyan was already waiting outside. I schooled my expression into blankness and brushed past him without a word. But he wasn't about to let me go. He grabbed my hand. "What are you doing here?" he asked. I said, "Take your hoof off me." Maybe he'd never heard me speak in such a tone, or maybe no man in this novel ever had. Lu Ruyan's hand trembled as he held mine. "Ji Buchang, don't make a scene." I let out a sigh. "Lu Ruyan, let go. Are you sick or something? What scene am I making as a grown man?" Lu Ruyan's face darkened, his eyes blazing as he stared at me. I glared back at him fiercely. Ji Buchang, was not a man with a good temper. The reason I'd been gentle and soft with him before was simply because I loved him, plus it fit the character in this novel. But now, I saw no need for it. I pried his hand off mine and left the company without looking back. After leaving the company, I didn't go home. Instead, I booked a room at a hotel. Jiang Cheng didn't disappoint me. He reached out just an hour and a half later. In the original story, Jiang Cheng was a minor cannon fodder character. He was exceptionally confident in his looks. And that confidence made him somewhat arrogant. So when Yiting gained Lu Rian's favor, Jiang Cheng was insanely jealous. You could say Jiang Cheng was the first to notice something shady between Yiting Cheng and Lu Rian. Driven by a mix of complicated emotions, he captured every ambiguous moment they shared in private. Those photos later ended up in Ji Buchang's hands and became the spark that ignited his descent into darkness. I wasn't interested in the darkness, but I loved the dirt. I paid a sum to buy all the gossip and scandal Jiang Cheng had. I have to say, he delivered, not just photos, but videos too. I stared at that material for nearly 2 hours until my eyes ached and my stomach growled with hunger. I rubbed my temples. I had no appetite, but I couldn't starve myself. Just as I hung up the hotel phone, my cell rang. It was Lu Rian. 7:27, the time he normally got home from work. I didn't answer. I hung up directly. He didn't call back. Classic CEO of a strong female lead novel. After cutting off Lu Rian's call, I dialed Lawyer Hong. President Ji, what's the matter? Help me draft a divorce agreement. I need it by tomorrow. The person on the other end seemed stunned. Silent for a long time. I thought the line had gone bad. Hello? Lawyer Hong. Lawyer Hong finally snapped out of it. What did you say? Whose divorce agreement? I chuckled. Am I asking you to draft someone else's? Mine. Mine and Lu Rian's. This time, Lawyer Hong reacted quickly. Alright, I understand. How should we divide the assets? I said. What's mine stays mine. What's his stays his. I don't want the joint property. I'm a man of stature. Do I really need to haggle over that shared stuff? Dragging it out like tangled threads would drive me crazy. Lawyer Hong asked nervously. So you're leaving with nothing? Damn it. I hated that phrase. Then let him give up his share of the joint property. All to me. Tell him, as a domineering female CEO, not to be stingy. Alright, I'll draft it immediately and send it to you once it's done. Lawyer Hong worked efficiently. Within half an hour, it was done and sent to me. I was stunned, this speed, and I hadn't even finished my meal. I decided then, I'd give Lawyer Hong a big red envelope at the end of the year. After eating, I planned to go downstairs to print the divorce agreement and also develop those photos. Just as I opened the door, a figure suddenly appeared, startling me. I looked closer, it was Lu Rian. His brows were tightly furrowed, his face dark. I wasn't surprised by his arrival. He was a man of rules, but I was still his husband. He wouldn't just leave me be. Since I didn't answer his call, he'd definitely come looking for me. Why didn't you come home? He asked, his voice low. I said, perfect timing. Go in and sit for a bit. I have something to tell you. As I spoke, I headed out. Where are you going? He asked. To print something. I'll go with you. I pushed him away, looking at him with an unyielding gaze. No need. Wait here. When I returned with the printed items, Lu Rian was sitting properly on the sofa. He was always like this, meticulous, like an emotionless robot. But this afternoon, looking at those photos, I realized that wasn't true. The divorce agreement was in my hand, but I didn't pull it out yet. Instead, I asked him, a friend said they saw you at the hospital today. Are you feeling unwell? I wanted to see if Lu Rian would tell me he was pregnant, but he only lifted his head briefly, then lowered it again. He said, you must have been mistaken. I didn't go to the hospital. I cursed the past version of myself, the malicious supporting male who still clung to illusions. Lick, lick, just keep licking, lick until the female lead runs wild and reckless. Lick until you leave with nothing, ruining my entire empire. Fine, I'll just go all out with you. My mindset grew calmer. I said, alright, the divorce agreement, 2 copies. I found a pen from my bag, signed, and handed it to Lu Rian. Lu Rian took it with confusion. He looked at the words on the paper, his expression jolting violently, then raised his head to stare at me in disbelief. Divorce? You want a divorce from me? I nodded. Yeah, what else? Lu Rian's gaze turned heavy as he stared at me. I met his eyes calmly. After a long moment, he slammed the papers onto the table. Reason. I pulled out the developed photos and tossed them in front of him. The top one showed him and Yiting Cheng standing on a rooftop, their backs to the camera, gazing into the distance. The angle of that shot was perfect. It captured the moment their eyes met and they smiled at each other. Lu Rian flipped through the photos one by one. His expression remained calm, unruffled, Even his hands holding the photos didn't tremble. "You're spying on me." After finishing, he looked up, his eyes carrying impatience and hidden anger. I laughed, but it was bitter. "So after seeing all this, the only thing you think of is blaming me? Lu Ruyan, you're something else. You've really shown me your skill at deflecting. But let me clarify, I didn't follow you. Someone just happened to capture these. And I bought them. Any problem? Are you thinking I violated your portrait rights? If so, I'm ready to face it." Lu Ruyan's brows knitted tightly. "That's not what I meant. He and I are just ordinary boss and subordinate. There's nothing between us. If it's because of him, you don't have to do this." I let out a cold laugh. "Save it. I'm not a cuckold warrior waiting for even uglier photos to land on my desk. Sorry, I don't have that fetish." Lu Ruyan's gaze turned icy. He stood up and stepped closer to me. "Ji Buchang, what nonsense are you up to? I told you there's nothing between us. What more do you want?" I furrowed my brows and stepped back a few paces. "Can't you understand plain language? I said I want a divorce. Do you get that? I find it exhausting talking to you." Lu Ruyan's expression grew irritated. He growled, "Ji Buchang, stop messing around. Pack your things and come back with me. I can pretend none of this happened." I was furious too. "Damn it. Divorce. I said I want a divorce. Sis. I want a divorce. Right now. Immediately. And you're getting all high and mighty? What the hell is wrong with you? You shut up." Lu Ruyan raised her voice. "Ji Buchang, I don't want to hear those two words again. You're not a child. You need to be responsible for what you say." That remark successfully pissed me off. I wanted to ask him who the real child was. I stormed over and pulled out one of the photos. In the picture, Lu Ruyan was at work, laughing and chatting with Ito Ching in the office. He was eating steamed buns that Ito Ching had bought for him, holding a cup of soy milk in his hand. The date on the photo was yesterday. "Didn't you say you had no appetite in the morning and didn't want to eat? Didn't you say the workplace required employees to follow company rules? Do you know what's good for you? Do you take responsibility for your words? Talking to me about responsibility? Lu Ruyan, are you even worthy?" This was probably the first time Lu Ruyan had been scolded like this. The way he looked at me, it was like he wanted to devour me. But I didn't care. I only felt an exhilarating release. Lu Ruyan gave me a deep, penetrating stare. "Are you sure you want a divorce?" I placed the divorce agreement and a pen in front of him, proving my resolve with action. Lu Ruyan's face shifted through several expressions. Finally, he signed his name on the divorce agreement. The force of his writing was so strong it almost tore through the paper. He didn't even glance at the contents. I raised an eyebrow, suddenly feeling a bit cheated. If I'd known it would be this easy, I should have swindled him for some money. After all, whoever gets tired of having more cash? Lu Ruyan's face darkened. Carrying a cloud of fury, he stood up and left. Watching his retreating back, I called out, "Bring your ID and household registration book. I'll be waiting for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning." He paused mid-step, then walked away without looking back. The next morning, I woke up just as the sky was barely light. I checked the time. 6 o'clock. This timing infuriated me. Years of ingrained habit meant I didn't need anyone to call me. Didn't need an alarm. I just naturally woke up at this hour. This instinct reminded me once again how pathetic it was to be a love-struck fool in a sweet, strong female lead romance novel. Lu Ruyan, you really are something. Suppressing the resentment in my chest, I buried my head under the covers, planning to go back to sleep. But no matter what, I just couldn't fall asleep. I was speechless. I tossed and turned in bed, wrestling with myself for over an hour, and finally got up unwillingly. After breakfast and getting my things together, I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I waited there for Lu Ruyan. I waited for 2 hours. By the time my patience ran out, he still hadn't shown up. My mood turned absolutely foul. "Lu Ruyan, you are something else." I got in my car and drove straight to Lu Ruyan's company. When his assistant saw me, he looked like he was facing a major crisis. Trembling with fear, he said, "Sir, the CEO is in a meeting. Would you like to wait in the office for a bit?" I imagine my expression must have been terrible. I didn't make things difficult for him. I went straight to Lu Ruyan's office. I had just sat down when there was a knock at the door. Then Ito Ching walked in. He was indeed good-looking, his features were handsome and bright, his demeanor clean, giving off an air of being unsullied by the world. "Sir, this is your coffee." I raised an eyebrow. You're delivering coffee. Are you a secretary? Ito Ching frowned. I'm just helping someone out. I sneered. Are you that free? Mr. G, why must you be so aggressive? I'm only helping others. What a fine, helping others. An intern from the programming department comes to the secretarial department to help others? Is it you neglecting your duties? Or is he slacking off? Mr. G, Ito Cheng set the coffee down stubbornly. I know you have a problem with me, but I cut him off. This is only our second meeting. How could I possibly have a problem with you? Who do you think you are? Why would I have a problem with you? Ito Cheng looked defiant. I know you mind my interactions with President Liu, but we're just friends. As a husband, you shouldn't deprive your wife of the right to make friends. I nodded. A friend who brings him breakfast and lunch. A friend who eats with him. A friend who freely comes in and out of his office. What? Are you going to be a friend who sleeps with him too? Ito Cheng, we're both men. We both know exactly what your actions mean. Should I have President Liu? Ito Cheng spun around abruptly. The moment he saw Liu Rian, he instantly put on a look of extreme forbearance. Pretending to be strong. President Liu Rian's face was grim. Ito Cheng looked at him with earnest eyes. But Liu Rian didn't even spare him a glance. Instead, he walked straight over to me. He grabbed my hand. What happened? Only then did I notice the sting in my hand. I looked down and saw a patch of red. The coffee had splashed on it. Faced with Liu Rian's seemingly concerned expression, I felt a strange, awkward discomfort. I shook his hand off. Get your paws off me. Liu Rian's face darkened. What the hell happened? Ito Cheng looked humiliated. It's all my fault. I accidentally knocked over the coffee. Liu Rian finally looked at Ito Cheng. Alright, you can leave first. Ito Cheng shot Liu Rian a glance. Then turned and walked away with a stubborn look on his face. It disgusted me. Assistant, go buy some burn ointment. Yes, President Liu. Right away. I let out a light snort. What act are you putting on for me here? A perfect match? Liu Rian glared at me. Ji Buchang, what exactly do you want? Are you going to make a scene in public? I stared at him with a twisted expression. You put that word away. What scene am I making? I'm telling you right now, as long as you don't get a divorce, I'm still your husband, and I have plenty of ways to mess with the two of you in this company. I waited for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau for 2 hours. Where were you? You didn't show up. Not even a phone call. Is only Liu Rian's time valuable? Who the hell isn't making millions by the minute? Liu Rian's face grew darker and darker. Civil Affairs Bureau? What were you doing at the Civil Affairs Bureau? I stared at him in disbelief. What was I doing at the Civil Affairs Bureau? Do you not understand human language? Was I going sightseeing? For a divorce? Of course. Did you leave your memory somewhere? Liu Rian looked at me, his breathing growing faster and faster. Suddenly, without control, he started to fall backward. I quickly reached out and caught him. Liu Rian shook his head, looking very uncomfortable. What's wrong with you? In response to my question, he shoved me away, let out 2 uncontrollable dry heaves. But nothing came up. I clenched my teeth and spoke again. I'll ask you one more time. What exactly is wrong with you? Liu Rian lifted his eyes to look at me, his face pale, but his gaze was ice cold. You want a divorce, right? Fine. Then let's get a divorce. I smiled. This was the answer I wanted. Liu Rian's lips trembled, as if 1,000 words were struggling at the edge of them, but in the end, they dissolved into a sigh. He spoke again. But we need to have a proper talk. In the 25 years of my life and Liu Rian's, not a single moment had been spent apart from each other. But because of the 3-year age gap, it seemed I was always waiting for him. When he was 3, I was 6. He had just started kindergarten when I went to elementary school. When he was 6, I was 9. I had just waited for him to enter elementary school, only for my classroom to move from the West Campus to the East Campus. When he was 11, I was 13. He had just moved to the West Campus for a year when I went to middle school. By the time he entered middle school, I had gone to high school. By the time he entered high school, I had started college. By the time he finally managed to get into my university, I had already left society and begun my internship. So, how to put it? 3 years was really a barrier, but even so, I still accompanied him through all 4 years of college. In college, I confessed to him, he accepted, and we got together. Back then, I rented a house near the school, and Liu Rian and I moved in together. I was already very busy by then, and the rented place was far from my company. Yet even so, I would still return every day to that little home that belonged only to us. Lu Rian was there waiting for me. No matter what, I always had to go back. I loved him, and I thought he loved me too. The private room was very quiet. Lu Rian was carefully studying the menu. My gaze wandered elsewhere, too disdainful to settle on him. He asked me what I wanted to eat. Are you treating? Lu Rian gave me a strange look, then nodded. On the spot, I ordered a full table of dishes. Lu Rian looked completely baffled and was about to hand the menu back to the waiter when I said, "Keep it, but I want to order more." Lu Rian nodded at the waiter, signaling him to leave. As the waiter departed, he suddenly stood up and moved to sit beside me. Without warning, he grabbed my hand. I was startled. "What are you doing?" "I'm eating. Do you understand? Don't move." Lu Rian looked down at my hand. "Don't move. Let me put medicine on you." His voice was a little hoarse, and it sounded almost pitiful. He pulled a tube of ointment from his pocket. "I'll do it myself," I said, reaching for the medicine in his hand. But Lu Rian dodged me. He said, "Let me." "No need. I can do it myself." Ji Buchang, Lu Rian was angry. My hand, suspended in midair, paused. Forget it. We were already a relationship that had seen each other naked. Let him do it. I turned my head away, not wanting to look. After a moment, a cool sensation spread across my hand, along with the soft touch of Lu Rian's fingertips brushing over it. "Ji Buchang, do you really want a divorce?" At some point, Lu Rian had already moved back to sit across from me. Hearing his question, I nodded. "Yes. Just because of those photos?" "Yes." Lu Rian took a deep breath. He was agitated, suppressing his emotions. He said, "I didn't do anything inappropriate with Yitingcheng. Not in the past. Not now. And never in the future." "What exactly are you bothered about? This is just the most ordinary superior-subordinate relationship. You work too, don't you understand?" It was really tough on Lu Rian, having to repeat such meaningless words to me over and over again. But my memories as a lovesick fool were filled with too many sorrowful moments. I said, "Lu Rian." I looked up at him. "Why don't you ever sit next to me? Why must you always sit across from me?" Lu Rian frowned, looking confused, as if he didn't understand what I meant, or as if he had never considered this question. I said, "From the age of 3 until now, 22 years. If we calculate it as 300 days a year, that's 6,600 days. Round it to an even number, 6,000 days. Counting one meal a day, we've eaten at least 6,000 meals together. In those 6,000 meals, you have never once sat next to me. You've always sat across from me. Just like just now, even though you sat beside me to put medicine on me, in the end, you still moved back to sit across from me. Look, the distance between us is at least a meter. But you and Yitingcheng can sit together. What was the distance between you then? 5 centimeters? Or negative?" Lu Rian froze, then stood up in some confusion. "That was just an accident. The only table in the office where you could eat was that one, and that table simply couldn't." I didn't let him finish. I cut him off, raising a hand to stop him. "Listen to me. Do you have any idea how much effort I put into making you breakfast? I drag myself out of bed at 6 every morning to whip up all sorts of things for you, rain or shine, without a single complaint. With that time, wouldn't I rather sleep until I naturally wake up?" The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, remembering the morning irritability that kept me from sleeping. It doubled and piled on. "And what happened? You threw away the breakfast I made and went out to eat some street food. Are you sick? So I've been feeding a trash can?" "Lu Rian, pay me for my emotional damages." Lu Rian's expression soured. His mouth opened and closed. Then he stared at me steadily. He said, "It won't happen again. Never again." I looked at him like he was an idiot. "There's no again. Lu Rian, don't you understand? I've told you countless times. I want a divorce. If you ask me, we never should have gotten married in the first place. Just talking about it makes me want to slap you. Look at this." I showed him the photo I'd taken of him and Yitingcheng grinning in the office, then continued, "When we took our wedding photos back then, you had a deadpan face the whole time. Later, I heard the staff whispering behind us, 'Is this woman being forced into marriage?' Look at him, not a single smile the whole time. Like he's really unhappy." I wasn't unhappy. I was just nervous. There was something in Lu Rian's eyes that I'd never seen before, like panic. I shook my head. Impossible. When had Lu Rian ever panicked? I rubbed my temples. Lu Rian walked over to me, knelt beside me, and grabbed my hand tightly. He looked at me earnestly and said, "I'll transfer Yitingqing to a subsidiary. I won't see him again from now on. Maybe I didn't handle the boundaries between us well, but I swear to you, I only admire him, admire his attitude toward life and work. There's nothing beyond that. Your heart is moved." Lu Rian's brow furrowed. "It's not." Her tone was firm, without a hint of hesitation. I shook my head. "Your heart is moved." Lu Rian's expression grew increasingly irritated. "This is my heart. I say it's not. So it's not." I pulled my hand away. Lu Rian's face turned cold, expressionless as he stared at me. "Lu Rian, I know you too well. All these years, men have swarmed around you like a river of fish, but you never spare them a second glance. But this one is different. He's made you break your own rules too many times. He's the first in your 25 years of life. In other words, what is this? This is true love. I'm a businesswoman. If an investment is about to bankrupt me, I'll cut my losses and minimize the damage. Lu Rian, your heart is moved. You've been moved by someone else. So, I don't want you anymore." Lu Rian refused my request for divorce. That was normal. After all, he wasn't someone prone to impulsiveness or emotional decisions. Just like in the book. Even in the end, it wasn't divorce, just widowhood. Thinking that, I couldn't help but shudder. Was Lu Rian planning to kill me? I shook my head. Probably not. I could understand most of the plot's direction in the book. But one thing I couldn't accept was him destroying my Ji family. That wasn't something Lu Rian would do. If the Ji family fell, he might have lent a hand at most. But the deeper cause would definitely be inside Ji Corporation. It seemed I needed to thoroughly review the company. After I laid everything out to Lu Rian, he seemed dazed and lost. Finally just saying, "I won't divorce you. We'll stay together fine." I felt I'd made myself clear enough. I didn't have the energy to say more. I wasn't his emotional coach, responsible for making him face his own feelings. I got up and strode away. He grabbed me. "Where are you going?" I said. "Home." He didn't let go. "Which home?" I said. "Guantang." At that, he seemed to breathe a faint sigh of relief. He said, "Wait for me at home. I'll handle everything." I shrugged, unconcerned. Guantang was where we lived after marriage. He thought I was giving in and going home, but I didn't tell him I was just going to pack my things. When I returned to Guantang with a crew to clear out my stuff, Zhang Ma was startled. The scene looked like someone was coming to seize the property. Zhang Ma looked bewildered. "Sir, what are you doing?" I said. "Moving. I came in with a crowd and left with a crowd." Zhang Ma tried several times to approach me, but my calm demeanor sent her away. She was employed by Lu Rian, paid by him. Once I left, we'd have no further contact. So there was no need for pleasantries. After leaving Guantang, I didn't go home. Instead, I went to one of my own properties. Mr. Ji and Miss Chong were still traveling, so there was no need to worry them. Besides, I didn't want to hear anyone's advice about the divorce. After leaving, I blocked all of Lu Rian's contact methods and went straight to the company. For the next week, I practically lived at the company, going over every contract and account. And wouldn't you know it, I actually found a problem. The company's finance director had set up a shell company behind my back to evade taxes. If he'd just pocketed all the money, that would have been one thing. But he'd transferred a small portion to my father's account under the guise of stock dividends. Quite capable, not only breaking the law but also trying to make my dad his scapegoat. Who gave him the guts? My dad. This finance director was a company veteran, my father's best buddy, who'd fought through the years with him and always looked out for me. Who would have thought? The wolf ready to cut your throat was right beside you. But I could understand. If Lu Rian could change, why couldn't anyone else? Now that I'd found the root of the problem, I handed it all over to Lawyer Hong. What to do about it? As a law-abiding citizen, I'd handle it by the book. During my busy week, many people came looking for me. Among them, 3 were worth mentioning: Lu Rian, Yitingqing, and Jiang Cheng. I didn't meet Lu Rian. He tried to barge in, but I called the police. I also didn't meet Yitingqing. Was I that idle? Did I have the time to chat with a mistress? As for Jiang Cheng, I had to admit, he was a peculiar character, one with immense potential to play the role of a malicious cannon fodder. Somehow, he misunderstood me as his superior and started sharing every detail about Yitingcheng and Lu Rian with me, leaving nothing out. President G. Today Director Lu wanted to transfer Yitingcheng away from headquarters, but he actually stormed into the office and made a scene, saying he'd resign if that happened. Director Lu just replied, "Make sure you hand over your work properly." President G. Yitingcheng went to the branch office. After all that fuss, he still didn't leave. Well, with benefits this good here, who'd be willing to go? Yitingcheng brought Director Lu breakfast again today. Director Lu didn't take it. Then Yitingcheng said, "Whether you take it or not is your business, but I have to keep my promise." In the end, Director Lu still didn't eat it and threw it into the trash. Gotta say, well done. His stuff belongs in the trash anyway. Later, I looked into what this promise was all about. It turned out that when Yitingcheng had appendicitis and called Director Lu, it was Director Lu who took him to the hospital. So, to repay that kindness, he insisted on preparing breakfast for Director Lu every day. I pulled out my phone. The latest message Jiang Cheng had sent me read. Yitingcheng went to the rooftop again to, coincidentally, run into Director Lu. That place is originally Director Lu's private area, none of us dare to go up there, but he treats it like his own backyard. I was speechless. "Are you that free? Aren't you afraid of getting your pay docked?" Jiang Cheng replied excitedly, "President G, you finally responded to me. Don't worry, I've got all of Director Lu's moves under control. Do you want photos? I'll send them to you." "Thanks. But no thanks. Lu Rian and I were already in the process of getting a divorce. From now on, there was no need to send me anything about him and Yitingcheng." Jiang Cheng said anxiously, "President G, don't be like that. I just love gossiping, give me a chance. Okay, can you honestly say you're not at all curious about what kind of trouble they'll stir up next? Who knows what Director Lu sees in a guy like that? There'll definitely be plenty of juicy drama ahead. Are you looking forward to it?" I chuckled. "If you can't make it there anymore, come work for me. I'll pay you double." Jiang Cheng got even more excited and replied instantly, "I've drifted through half my life, only regretting not finding a worthy master. If you don't mind, I'd like to take you as my godfather." Jiang Cheng's words successfully amused me. "Got time tonight? I'll treat you to dinner." Jiang Cheng shot back immediately, "I've got time. I'll clear my entire schedule for you, President G." I met Jiang Cheng at the Western restaurant. Chatting with Jiang Cheng was quite pleasant. He was the brainless type, straightforward, and even when he tried to be roundabout, you could see right through him. Being with him was relaxing. But life is a play, always full of countless coincidences and accidents. For instance, Yitingcheng happened to be working part-time at this very Western restaurant. When he saw me, his first instinct was to hide, but the next second, he suddenly stiffened with resolve. Jiang Cheng spotted him and immediately started with a sarcastic tone. "Oh, what's this? Trying to pull off some inspirational persona again?" Yitingcheng's face was full of grievance and anger. "Shouldn't you be asking Mr. G about that?" I looked confused. "What did I do?" I waved him over. "Come on, tell me, what did I do to you?" Yitingcheng's eyes burned with fury and hurt, and he said, "Mr. G, if there's a misunderstanding between you and me because of what happened with Director Lu, I can explain, but taking it out on my parents, isn't that going too far?" "Yitingcheng, I'm giving you a chance to speak, so make the most of it and don't play word games with me here. Blaming me? You're not qualified." No sooner had I spoken than Lu Rian arrived in a flurry. He was wearing a light gray suit, one I had bought for him. A miscalculation. I had thought of everything else, but forgot to take back all the things I'd given him. I smiled. "Spoke too soon. It seems you do have some qualifications after all." Seeing his backup had arrived, Yitingcheng turned around, his face lighting up as he looked at Lu Rian. But Lu Rian didn't spare him even a glance. His gaze was fixed on me, never wavering for a moment. I looked at him, haggard, thinner, with a hint of defeat in his brow. I said, "Here to back up your little lover? Why do you have to do something so improper? Why not just divorce me directly? What? Is it about the thrill?" Lu Rian seemed not to hear my words. He stepped forward 2 paces, staring intently at me. "Why won't you come home? Why won't you see me?" My face turned cold. I didn't want to keep having this pointless conversation. I looked at Yitingcheng and said, "I know you've been looking for me these past few days. I'll give you one last chance. Spit it out." Yi Cheng looked pleadingly at Lu Rian, and when he realized Lu Rian wouldn't give him any answer, he turned to me with humiliation. Mr. G, why did you fire my parents? They worked diligently at G Corporation for so many years. How could you dismiss them on a whim? What did they do wrong? What a coincidence. Yi Cheng's parents worked at my company. This really was a way to stir up trouble for the scorned wife. Yi Cheng, have you been watching too many romantic dramas? Do you know how many people work at my company? Tens of thousands. From top to bottom. Who are your parents to me that I'd personally fire them? Not only is their dismissal unrelated to me, but even if I had ordered it, so what? Do you think I built such a big company and earned so much money for what? For charity? No. For my own satisfaction. As the highest decision maker of the company, don't I have the right to fire a few people of poor character? Yi Cheng was indignant. What right do you have to say my parents have poor character? Because they gave birth to a piece of poor character like you. Yi Cheng's face flushed bright red. Mr. G, you're too much. Just because you have money and power, you can bully people like this? What did I do? How can you say that? I was just grateful that Director Lu took me to the hospital. I bought him breakfast and made him lunch only out of gratitude. What did I do wrong? Watching his melodramatic act made me want to vomit. I said, I understand. I understand it all. I glanced at Jiang Cheng, who was gleefully eating up the drama, and asked him, if someone had appendicitis, would they call their boss? Jiang Cheng nodded vigorously. The world is full of wonders. Maybe his parents are dead. He's alienated from everyone, and he's brain damaged enough not to know how to dial 120, so his first thought is to call his boss. Yi Cheng's face went from pale to red to white, and even if he did call his boss, the boss would probably just call 120 for him, right? Or would he personally come and perform the surgery? That was a precise finishing blow, each word hitting its mark. Lu Rian kept his eyes straight ahead and said, that will never happen again. I felt a strange pang of discomfort. Yi Cheng, don't lose heart. Once I divorce Lu Rian, you can take his place. For now, just bear with it. Don't give me a chance to destroy you. Lu Rian clenched his jaw, then grabbed my hand tightly. We won't divorce. Not now. Not ever. There's no one else. Only you. What was the point of saying all this now? I tried to pull my hand away, but he held on firmly. I didn't hold back my strength. And with that one pull, he stumbled and hit the corner of the table. Instantly, his face went pale, and he clutched his stomach protectively. He grabbed my arm tightly. The baby, Ji Buichang, our baby. Did I want the child? The answer was yes. Before I took out the divorce papers, I asked him several times, giving him many chances to come clean. I thought, if he just told me, I would give him one last chance, as long as he still wanted to keep our child. But he didn't say anything. Not until we were already in the divorce process. I thought he had already aborted the child. But now, he was saying he was carrying our child. Lu Rian lay on the hospital bed, holding my hand tightly. I didn't pull away. To be honest, I was tired, utterly exhausted in both body and mind. The doctor said, you're showing signs of threatened miscarriage, but your physical condition is good, so it's not serious. Stay in the hospital for a few days for 4 fluids and to stabilize the pregnancy. Afterward, rest well, keep your mood light, and avoid any more impacts. I nodded, thank you for your trouble. After the doctor left, the nurse came to start his 4. The drip was very slow, and neither of us spoke. After a long while, Lu Rian said, I'm pregnant. And then, my voice was hoarse, unpleasant to hear. Lu Rian's hand holding mine trembled. Then he let go abruptly. What did you say? I looked down at him. And then, Lu Rian's eyes reddened instantly. I'm pregnant, our child. And you ask, and then, even though I'm pregnant, you still want to divorce me? I felt a tightness in my chest. Our child? Didn't you plan to keep it? Where does our child come from? Lu Rian shook his head. No, that's not it. I cut him off. When did you find out you were pregnant? Why didn't you tell me? If you didn't want a divorce, if you thought the pregnancy could affect our divorce, why didn't you say something? Lu Rian's lips pressed into a straight line, and her hands, resting on the bed, clenched tightly. I let out a sarcastic laugh. Can't answer? Then let me answer for you. You never planned to keep it. Since that's the case, why use him as a bargaining chip? A long silence stretched between us. When Lu Rian spoke again, Her voice was choked with tears. Ji Buchang, can we not get divorced? I shook my head decisively. No. Her breathing grew heavier. I'll have the baby, and we won't get divorced. Lu Ruyan, I growled. Don't use him as a bargaining chip. Lu Ruyan broke down crying. I didn't handle things well with Eatingcheng. It won't happen again. Can we start over? A pang of sadness hit me. I sighed. Others might, but you can't. Because you're Lu Ruyan. Lu Ruyan's eyes went blank with confusion. Lu Ruyan, ask yourself, if I hadn't escalated this to divorce, if I'd just argued with you, what would you have done? You'd think I was being unreasonable. You'd keep telling me, we're just friends. You know what? The most hypocritical people are the ones who hide behind labels like just friends or guy bestie while doing ambiguous things. Then blame the other person. And when something happens, you'd say I forced it. Why bother? Isn't it better to cut it off at the source? A piece of rotten meat, just carve it out. Lu Ruyan shook her head. Slowly, pleadingly. She looked at me with desperate eyes. Ji Buchang, you can't do this. You can't abandon me over things that never happened. These are just your assumptions. They won't and can't happen. I rubbed my temples. Do you know what risk assessment is? Lu Ruyan froze. What about our feelings? Our 25 years together, you'd just throw them away so easily? We have a child now. We'll only get better. Gee, you still love me. You still love me. It seemed that love was the last shred of hope she clung to, the hope I had given her. I cut her off. Lu Ruyan, do you love me? Lu Ruyan looked at me. For the first time, she answered directly. Ji Buchang, I love you. I scoffed. You can do things with blurred boundaries while loving me. So what's wrong with me wanting a divorce while still loving you? Lu Ruyan's face went pale. She looked at me with a plea. Like someone drowning in despair. I turned my head away, unwilling to look at her anymore. Lu Ruyan, I'll give you a week to think it over. What about our child? Up to you. If you want to keep it, I'll raise it. If you don't, I'll go with you for the procedure. My words were cold, ruthless, and hurtful. Behind me came a dull thud, followed by Lu Ruyan's anguished roar. Like a trapped beast. Ji Buchang. Lu Ruyan stayed in the hospital for a week, causing a fuss the whole time. She refused to eat properly, refused to cooperate with treatment, unless I was the one taking care of her. The doctors kept calling me, trying every trick. I thought, at least her parents didn't know, or they'd be at my door. But to be fair, I wasn't completely heartless about it. I showed up when I had to, brought her meals, but I didn't say anything extra. Slowly, Lu Ruyan grew quiet. One day, she suddenly spoke. Ji Buchang, I'm scared. The way you are now, it feels like you're drifting further and further away from me. I didn't know what to say. 22 years of feelings, I'm not a robot. Facing her, I felt pain too. I felt heartache. But every pang of pain and heartache reminded me that she was the one who caused it. She was the one who threw away our 22 years first. Over and over, I replayed that process in my mind. 1,000 arrows piercing the heart, that's what it felt like. And the child, what are your plans? Lu Ruyan touched her belly. What if I say I want to keep it? I'll pay child support. I'll take care of it. Lu Ruyan looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Ji Buchang, during pregnancy and breastfeeding, as long as I don't agree, you can't divorce me. That's true. But the child will be born and grow up. Lu Ruyan, let it go. Why force it? What if I insist on forcing it? Seeing her like this made me sad. Gently, I brushed the stray hair from her forehead. Then we might not be able to part on good terms. Lu Ruyan choked out a sob. Ji Buchang, you're too cruel. You gave me 25 years of confidence. Made me believe that everyone in the world might leave me. But Ji Buchang never would. Yet you abandoned me without hesitation, leaving no room for turning back. Ji Buchang, you're too harsh. Her crying made my heart clench painfully, but only for a moment. Then consider it my fault. Lu Ruyan shook her head. No, it's all my fault. I was wrong. She looked at me with tearful eyes. Ji Buchang, if we could start over, would you still be with me? The question caught me off guard. Looking back on the 22 years we had walked together, I had accompanied her, and she had accompanied me. Yes. Lu Ruyan stared at me, stunned. Lu Ruyan, I'm 28 years old. You've spanned my entire life. You've always been by my side. No matter what happened, you were the first one there. You never missed a single stage of my life. You witnessed everything. Lu Ruyan, it was only natural for me to fall in love with you. I can't deny those 22 years because of the mistakes now. But I also can't accept the mistakes now because of those 22 years. So what do we do? Lu Ruyan, tell me, what do we do? Tears silently slid down Lu Ruyan's cheeks. She stared at me blankly, letting out a pained cry. For the first time, she truly realized what she had done wrong. Her voice hoarse, she said, Ji Buchang, I agree to the divorce. Because there were no property disputes, the divorce between me and Lu Ruyan went smoothly. Staring at the freshly printed divorce certificate, I let out a long sigh. A sense of loss mingled with relief washed over me. Did I hate Lu Ruyan? It didn't seem to reach that level yet. But as long as she still held the title of my wife, everything she had done stuck in my throat like a fishbone. Only by severing this identity could I truly let go. What would you call this? Let's call it self-rescue for now. I drove Lu Ruyan back home. At the doorstep, I stopped. Let's end it here. Lu Ruyan looked haggard. She asked, Ji Buchang, will you come see me again? Probably. After all, there's the child. Lu Ruyan had ultimately decided to keep the baby. I didn't think it was a wise choice. But the child was in her belly, and I couldn't strip away that right from her. I turned and walked away, leaving Lu Ruyan standing there alone. Mr. Ji and Mrs. Chong had already returned from their trip. Seeing me, Mrs. Chong was overjoyed. Son, have you lost weight? That's good. Losing weight. Mr. Ji came down from upstairs. Where's Lu Ruyan? Why didn't she come back with you? We're divorced. I had no intention of hiding it from them. Mr. Ji and Mrs. Chong were both stunned. They stood frozen in place, staring at each other wide-eyed. I handed the divorce certificate to them. Mr. Ji glared at me. What's wrong with you, kid? How could you make such a big decision without discussing it with us? Do you even see us as your parents? Mrs. Chong slapped him hard. What are you doing, you brute? With that Lu Ruyan obsession of his. If it weren't absolutely necessary, she didn't finish her sentence. I lowered my eyes and gave a bitter smile. See? Everyone knew I was hopelessly in love with Lu Ruyan. Suddenly, Mrs. Chong stepped forward, stood on her tiptoes, wrapped her arms around me, and gently stroked my hair. It's okay. You're home now. The familiar fruity scent of Mrs. Chong hit me, and I felt a sting in my nose. Tears streamed down uncontrollably. My heart was full of grievances, full of anger, full of melancholy. I thought, let me be a child one more time. Let me cry one more time. Just this once. By tomorrow, I would once again be that graceful, all-capable young Master Ji.